everybody, Neil Canales here at the International Museum of Art and Science, and this is Ron English. And behind us, well, that's Ron English on canvas. He's an artist and he does miraculous things. They're huge, they're funny, they're different, and they're right here until August the 14th. You ought to come by and take a look. Right now, let's find out a little bit more about Ron English, the artist. So Ron, you've been painting
for about 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
And you do stuff like this?
Yeah, a lot of my stuff, like you say, has a lot of humor, and a lot of it is kind of a new take on an old idea. So like the one we're looking at behind us is the famous Picasso Guernica. And I was like watching a show on TV about how they x-ray paintings, and sometimes you can see the study underneath. So it's just kind of a play on that. So it's like an x-ray of that painting, except instead of seeing the study, you see like the skeletons of all the figures. And I kind of wanted to do Picasso because you know, his figures are so distorted, so I thought the skeletons would look really funny. So that's kind of what that's about.
And like the newspaper, is that the backing behind the painting?
Well, you know, he had like collage sometimes laid it underneath, so it's kind of like peeled back and you can see. So a lot of it's the news of the day of the time of the Guernica.
Mm-hmm. And some of the figures are very identifiable. Did you copy like all of them or some of them?
All of them.
All of them, yeah. And it looks just like it. Though it's very different. Now this thing is huge. It's
well, I've
12 by 24.
Yeah, for some reason I got this obsession with Guernica, and I've done almost 100 Guernicas. And
really?
So sometimes I try to make it the same size as Guernica, which was quite a huge painting. And the biggest one I ever did was like maybe 1 foot taller and 1 foot longer than Guernica.
Okay. Now is this on canvas?
It's kind of a vinyl canvas, yeah.
Okay. Now it's stretched out here on the wall at the museum. And I believe it's something like, what, 12 feet by 24 feet?
Yes.
Okay, now that's the old billboard size.
Right.
Now, since we mentioned billboard, tell us about the billboards.
I lived in Texas during the 80s, and I was quite fascinated by what was going on in New York with people painting on the subways, and I wanted to have a kind of a movement like that happen in Texas, but we didn't have subway cars.
Not subways.
Right, but what we did have was billboards. Everywhere you look, billboards. So I got a crew together, and we would go around, like we would drive to Houston or we would drive to Austin, and every 2 months we would go out on an expedition and just slaughter a bunch of billboards around like a different city.
I mean, is this like graffiti painting on a
billboard?
Yeah,
it was. Well, whatever we would do is we'd paint them on seamless backdrop paper, and then we would wheat paste them over the billboards. And billboards back then, all the billboards were big wheat pasted posters anyway. So.
Right. The old multi-sheet type billboard.
Exactly. Yeah.
And of course, now they're even doing this.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's you
so
do it in the studio
easier,
and go put it up.
Yeah. Well, now the billboards I do on a smaller scale, and then they're blown up. But when I first did them, I hand painted over 1,000 billboards over like a 20-year period, because that technology did not exist where I could just make one. You know, it would cost like $30,000 to make just one.
Whoa.
So it's a little cheaper to get a bucket of paint and do it yourself.
Well, but isn't that real art though?
Oh, I don't know.
Doing it by yourself, the way there's one guy in the medium?
Well, I think ultimately the thing with artists is you know, everything's just a process. So they're going to take a process and everybody uses a certain way, and then they're going to find some new thing to do with it. Like with the inkjet printing, they'll walk up to it and they'll say, well, it's just spraying ink onto a canvas. They said, what if we ran it through 100 times so the ink was that thick? Wouldn't that be, you know, interesting? So they'll kind of do something completely unexpected with the new technology. And
so where do you get your ideas? When this first came about in your mind, first off, you were fascinated by the original,
right?
And then why do a takeoff on it?
I thought of it kind of like a play, so it's like an update of a play, or maybe more like a folk song, where they would use the old melody that everybody knew, and then they would add lyrics that more about what was going on today, you know, and that kind of tradition. Mm-hmm. You know, because I think the tradition of like, you know, everything is unique and of itself and stand alone, and there's one artist making one thing is kind of a very 20th century idea, and you know, now we're in a new century. And so
that's true, because songs have changed throughout history.
Right.
You go to a different land, you get the same melody with a different words, such as the national anthem was originally an English drinking song.
Yeah, exactly.
And so on. Yeah,
and you know, I came up the same time that all the sampling started, and it was just kind of a new way to approach making art, which actually was the old way of making art, but people had kind of forgotten.
Okay. Everything old is new again.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to make a move over to this next huge 12 by 24 painting on the wall, and it is something, well, you have to come and see it. Let's go look at it right now. Now, this looks kind of familiar. Is this a play on the same theme?
Yeah, we're
Picasso
still
here?
on Guernica. It
We're
sounds
still,
like
still on Picasso.
seems like a bit of an obsession, I guess.
Okay,
But,
as you said.
Yeah, but this one, what I did is I used my own children to pose in the Guernica pose, and the underlying idea is kind of like Ring Around the Rosie. People don't really know it's about the plague, or kids play games that whatever it was referencing is long gone, but the game still exists. So it was kind of like the idea that these kids are acting out Guernica, but they really don't know what they're acting out. It's just a schoolyard game that's been passed down over the years and decontextualized by time.
And of course, here you can't see, you don't see the skeletons. It's not X-ray.
Right.
But it's a different play on it. A play in a playroom?
Yeah, it's like a little carnival kind of thing.
Okay, that's your son there?
Yeah,
He has a serious look on his face.
Yeah, he's serious. He's mad. But yeah, my kids appear in a lot of my work for the last 15 years since they've been around.
Wow.
So they actually hate it.
Oh, okay.
But the coolest thing happened. We had a show. My son loves South Park, right? Mm-hmm. So we curated a show of 15 artists see South Park. It's the 15th anniversary of South Park. So the South Park guys came to the show and stuff, and so he got to meet his heroes, of South Park. But also, I let him do a painting of South Park, and it actually sold, and he got to meet the guys. So now he's suddenly into art, but up to that point, he hated art.
Because it was work. And now speaking of which.
But now he's the artist, so.
Yes, now you're the artist of all these that in this room that would exhibit up until August 14th, as we mentioned here at the International Museum of Art and Science. It's different when you're looking at it face to face with the painting than what you see on video. It's really different. This is just, you can stare at this for 15 minutes. It's amazing.
Well, the space is amazing.
Yes, the big
charcoal
walls,
and it's gigantic.
And of course the size of this. It kind of like it wraps itself around you.
Right.
Is that done on purpose?
Yeah, like if you paint something that goes out off the peripherals of your eyes, like when you're standing in front of it, it takes up everything you see, and it's more powerful than having space around it, because it quits being a painting when there's nothing left to see outside of it. It loses its context, and you become kind of part of the painting.
It ends up being the world that you're in.
Right. But the reason I named the show "You Are Not Here" is because so many people now get all their information online, and I think a lot of people have a sense of being somewhere and having seen something when they really didn't. They really weren't there, but they saw it like online, so they feel like in a way they were there.
I noticed something else we were talking about before we started recording here, is that there's a lot of texture in this. It looks like it's flat, like kind of a comic book type style, but there's a lot more there. And like there's texture in the horse legs. You say, was that like a brick wall? You say, wait a minute, look at the shadow in the neck.
Yeah.
Of the mannequin head or the statue head. And there's fine detail that grabs you and pulls you in. And I asked you this question before, but I'd like to ask, for everybody who's watching right now, how long does it take to do something like this?
A long time. Maybe a month. But also long hours. Usually I start like around 6 in the morning, and I finish when the sun goes down, or maybe like 8 o'clock at night. So it's just a lot of hours. But I mean, I don't know what else I would be doing. Watching TV, I guess.
So to satisfy yourself, you have to just do it until it's done?
Oh yeah. Like when an artist makes a painting, that painting for the duration of making that painting is their life. Their life is all about that painting, and when they're not painting it, they're dreaming about it or thinking about it over dinner, and that painting just engulfs their life up to the point it's done, and then they let it go.
What are you trying to express? Something you feel?
I don't think I'm thinking that much about it. I think that I'm taking in all the media and everything that we all experience, and it's just kind of processing through me, and it's coming out in its own unique way that's like my way, So it's probably like very similar to the process of having dreams. Everybody has dreams, and the dreams are kind of reprocessed reality, and it's very individualized to the person who's having the dream, except in my case, I'm able to share the dream.
Mm-hmm. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to share, a story. And it's an old story. It has to do with a pig. Let's go there next. And here it is. It's Marjo, the magical unipig, who's there with a unicorn horn and all his pink delight. Now, where did Marjo come from?
Well, unicorn just means single horn, so, so it doesn't have to be a horse with a horn. It could be a pig. But no, actually, years ago I lived in Texas. I lived in Austin, and we threw a big circus party. So I created these sideshows in the backyard as part of the party. And one of the sideshows was come see the world's only living unicorn. And the sideshow banner, you know, sometimes sideshow banners and what's behind the sideshow are kind of antithetical to each other. But so it was this beautiful horse-like unicorn with flowing hair and a beautiful horn. But when you actually went behind the sideshow, there was a pig with the horn, with a foam horn. So and that was kind of the first time I ever did the unipig. But unfortunately, later that night, a fraternity stole the pig, and the pig was gone. And then we had the issue of like, how do you find a lost pig? So we lived in a house with about 20 people. So 19 of the people went out going, here, pig, pig, around the neighborhood to no avail. And I thought, well, that's everybody's doing that. I'll try to do something different. So I went to Kinko's and I drew a quick picture of my pig, and he's waving and it says, "Have you seen my pig?" And then I put my phone number on there and put a few of those around. By the time I got home, the phone was ringing. It says, I think I have a pig in my backyard, and for some reason I think it's probably yours.
They found the pig.
So yeah, looks a lot like the drawing.
Okay. Now this is a little bit different than what those large 12 by 24 paintings that we saw. These are 7 by 7. The room is full of them, and this is where a lot of humor in this. And are you purposely trying to be funny? You are being. Is it sarcasm, humor?
Well, I used to be very earnest and serious, and people laughed at me, so I figured I'd just try to be funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you look at this and you just have to smile.
Yeah.
You know, that look on his face is like he's resolute. Here I am, and all my pink blubbery glory.
But I think a lot with, I think people you grow up seeing everything and then you quit looking at it, you know. And sometimes I think what I want to do is make you see things with fresh eyes. Like when you go to another country, everything's kind of weird. But your country isn't weird. Where you come from isn't weird. But if you leave it for a while and you come back, then it becomes weird. And I want to just make it seem weird again, you know.
Okay. And if you come see this show, what you're going to see more of this. Of course, there's more in the room. We can't show you everything. But I would like to point out the green baby Hulk, which is, where did the idea for this come from?
I was just kind of thinking about America in a way. And just, it's a very, very powerful country. It has the world's most powerful military, but sometimes it can act like in a very infantile way. So it's the baby Hulk, you know. So like if you think about the Hulk, he's very powerful, but what about when he was really immature and was a little kid, you know? Not that he's that mature now. So it's kind of like he's angry and he's having a temper tantrum, or looks like he's about to take a poop in his pants or something. But
it looks like he's controlling it though.
Right. Yeah. But in the background's like the American flag, just so you understand the reference. And the flag is all made up of hundreds of paintings of comic books from the different wars. So it's like one panel is the cartoons that were happening, like Casper the Ghost and the stuff the kids were reading, and then the parallels, like the comic books about the war that was going on at the same time. So it's like Vietnam, World War II, like the representations of the wars, but in comic book form. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And of course, now that's 12 by 24 as well. It is huge. You walk in the room, it dominates the entire room. And you can stand there and just look at it, as I said, for 15 minutes, because the texture, the interrelation of the colors, and just the interplay of the colors on canvas and what it does to your mind.
And if you try to read all the comics, you'll be here for a week.
Okay. Well, Ron English, your stuff is amazing. It's different. It's not just, it's more than what you see. You first walk in, you think that's just something there, but the more you look at it, you know, there's more there.
Yeah. You know what years and years ago, I went to a Rauschenberg show at a museum, and, you know, it was like a bunch of trash piled here and stuff there, and, you know, it's like all arranged. And after going to the museum, I came out, and then everything I saw, like every cone that was tipped over in the street, became a sculpture. Like I looked at the world differently after I went to the show than I did before. And then that's what I've always tried to achieve with my work, because we're all going to experience the same pop culture. And hopefully what I'm doing is to get people to see it in a different way, or kind of a fresh new way.
Okay. And as we said, you can see it through August the 14th here at the International Museum of Art and Science. You just come in and you walk into the big art gallery, and here it is. Big paintings by this man right here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for talking with us and explaining a little bit, especially our nice blubbery pink friend over here. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Okay. And thank you all for watching. I'm Joe Camel. Enjoy.